Todd gazes overhead at a roller coaster full of screaming riders.
That's the one, Dad. The world's only roller coaster with an outside looping. Let's get in line.
All right.
Are you having second thoughts about riding this thing?
I already feel like a field mouse being chased by a falcon.
Come on, Dad, before the line gets longer.
I have a feeling this is going to be a hair-raising experience.
Excuse me, but have you ridden this before?
Sure, it's my third ride today.
Is it that good?
It's as good as it gets, but this ride isn't for the faint of heart.
Oh, really? Why not?
As you can see, this isn't your usual roller coaster.
It's not?
No. Since you're suspended from the loop, your legs hang free in the air.
I think I'd better head back home.
David climbs into the very front seat of the roller coaster.
Dad, sit up here. The front row is the best.
No, thank you. I prefer the back seat.
How do you feel?
Tense. Very tense. Do I really need to do this?
Relax. It'll be over in a couple of minutes.
I know. But how do you ignore the icicles in your stomach?
Close your eyes and just let yourself go.
Here we go, Dad. Enjoy the ride!
After the ride.
That first drop was a doozy. It went straight down.
It was quite a dive. My heart's still pounding.
At first, I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
But you seem to have maintained your calm.
I took your advice and closed my eyes, and I began to let my imagination take over.
What did you imagine you were doing?
I was in space, flying through an asteroid belt.
So you did enjoy the ride.
Yes, of course. What are we waiting for? Let's get back in line.
Okay, let's go on to Kayaking 1.
Kelly and Toby are working out on the treadmill at the gym.
Why is it so boring to stay in shape?
And it's miserable, too.
Their gym trainer, Sandra, overhears their conversation.
I heard that.
No offense meant, but fitness exercise in a smelly gym is pure boredom, Sandra.
Want to join me on a short kayak trip? It's great exercise, and it's also good for your health.
But we've never kayaked before.
You don't need to be an expert. 5 out of 10 on this trip are novices.
Will someone teach us the basic skills if we decide to go?
All you'll need to do is take a day-long introductory course at our paddle club.
And where will we be testing our new skills?
Along the coastline of Long Island Sound.
That's only a 40-minute drive from here.
So it'll be as easy as going to the gym. Just not as boring, Toby.
A week later, Kelly and Toby are kayaking with Sandra.
You're holding up beautifully, Toby.
Thanks. It isn't boring by any means.
Kelly, how's it going?
I'm enjoying every moment. And as you said, it's great exercise.
How do I get back in if I capsize?
The trick is to flop on your stomach and lie crosswise on your kayak. Then swing your legs up and stick them down in the seat.
I thought you said this was a mild workout.
Half an hour later, they're ashore.
That was exhilarating, Sandra.
I'm glad you liked it.
I was suddenly eyeball to eyeball with some fish.
That's because your body is actually below the waterline.
I felt like I was in a completely different world. Nothing compares to this.
I know that feeling. It still amazes me after 10 years of kayaking.
What's more, you don't have to be at the other end of the world to enjoy these sensations.
さあ、皆様はどのような余暇の過ごし方をなさってらっしゃいますか？ Jeff, as a kid, I used to love to bike around. Now, if I had the time, and if I were physically fit, I'd love to spend the weekends just biking through a very scenic area. But I wouldn't want to be on a regimented schedule. Just wander around, maybe stop by an antique store and feast at a quaint restaurant.
I guess you could just indulge yourself, Marcia. You'd burn it off biking anyway.
Right.
But your mentioning bicycling brings back memories of my grade school days when my friends and I would bike to world-famous amusement parks miles away from home.
What did your mother think?
She never knew. That's what made it so fun. And when I was in junior high, I was in Boy Scouts, and so we often went camping in the mountains or desert. We got rained on, ran into rattlesnakes.
Ooh, it was a real adventure for a 12-year-old.
Kids these days tend to want pricey outdoor activities, snowboarding, windsurfing, or whatever. But actually, all you have to do is take them to the park or the beach and they're happy.
Some things never change.
Okay, let's go on to kayaking too.
Kelly, Toby, and Sandra are camping for the night.
I've never been too keen on water sports, but kayaking was easier than I thought.
I don't want you to have the false impression that nothing can go wrong, though.
What can go wrong, aside from capsizing and hanging upside down in the water?
Well, weather on the water changes abruptly, so you'll need good judgment.
Never take anything for granted when you're dealing with nature.
Exactly. Kayaking is gaining popularity as a fitness sport because it's such a peaceful exercise.
Taking in the scenery with each stroke of the paddle relaxes you like nothing else.
It's like backpacking in the wilderness. It clears your head.
Clearly, the health benefit is as much mental as physical.
Will it be necessary for us to work on more advanced skills?
There's no need for it, unless you're interested in challenging the river rapids. Are you two going anywhere for the summer?
No, I haven't made any plans yet.
If you're interested, there's a kayaking trip that's being organized by a sporting goods store next month.
Where to?
The Georgian Bay area of Lake Huron. It has about 30,000 uninhabited islands. It's a paradise for kayakers.
Sounds beautiful. Is the water calm out there?
Yes, you'll be kayaking in safe, clear waters and watching a shoreline of pink granite. Why don't you think it over?
At dawn, the three leave shore, paddling side by side in their separate kayaks.
Thanks to kayaking, I feel like I'm in shape again.
Good. Are you both up to checking out those rock formations?
Sure.
What I like about kayaking is this sense of independence.
But at the same time, there's a sense of camaraderie.
Exactly. And you build confidence as well.
Watch where you're going, Toby. There's a rock.
His kayak capsizes, but he quickly pops up onto the surface.
I take that back. Confidence is something you build gradually, not overnight.
And now let's hear about gardening.
Kelly and Toby are helping Todd weed his backyard garden.
I should replant the roses to make it easier to prune.
They're gorgeous.
Thanks. I'm particularly proud of them. I grew these from cuttings.
How do you get them to grow so big?
I cheated. What do you think chemical fertilizer is for?
It figures.
When did you start gardening, Todd?
I took it up as a pastime when my marriage fell apart. You see, I didn't have much of a social life anymore.
So you turned to cosmoses and marigolds?
Do you find gardening therapeutic?
In a way, I do. Unlike people, plants are very straightforward.
They are?
Take, for example, this buddleia. It's a sun worshipper. Plant it in a sunny spot, and it'll reward you for years.
And if it doesn't get enough sunlight?
It'll simply keel over and die.
Then you mean plants are more predictable than humans.
Which is precisely why I came to like gardening.
Did you know that gardening is the fastest growing hobby in America?
Yes, it's especially popular among us baby boomers.
Maybe it's a way for people to escape the workaday world of cutthroat competition.
I doubt it. If anything, gardening is quite competitive.
Competitive? I've always thought of gardening as a benign hobby.
Well, to serious gardeners, horticulture is actually a blood sport. I grew up in the Olympic village of gardening, Philadelphia.
I've been to the flower show in Philadelphia. I've never seen anything like it before.
Families slave all year in greenhouses to get their blue ribbon.
But everyone is all smiles at the flower shows.
Yes, they say the nicest things to each other. We're taught to keep our gardening feuds private.
But you aren't a fierce competitor, are you?
Not yet, but it's a matter of time. I've begun to cheat and brag about my roses to other gardeners.
Well, gardening. Many people spend their weekends enjoying their favorite pastime. For me, golf is a pastime.
Oh, yeah.
In saying this, I might offend some people who take the game very seriously, but I play golf just for the fun of it. It's a way of detaching myself from work and getting some exercise along the way.
I'm afraid I'll offend even more people, but I'm not interested in golf even as a pastime. I want to walk on hilly ground, not flat.
Jeff, it's not necessarily flat. The sport would be much easier if it were. In any event, I'll remember not to invite you. Which reminds me, it's nice to entertain your friends by sharing a pastime with them, but you should remember that some people might not share the same interests as you. I read an essay about a woman who wanted to impress her date by taking him on her favorite weekend excursions, a boating trip down the river rapids.
Ooh.
They ended up breaking up in the first 45 minutes of their weekend together.
A rapid conclusion.
Hey, that's a good one, Jeff.
So on that note, let's rapidly move on to the next topic, which is about good and bad habits.